Hello and welcome to my first ever Let's Play. It should be interesting. For those of you who haven't noticed yet, it's Pokemon Soul Silver version. I picked this game because it's one I can play quite casually. I'm starting again. I've only played through the first two badges just to familiarise myself with the game. I haven't played a Pokemon game since the originals, so this should be intriguing. I have looked up a couple of things, like different types and stuff, but that's about it. Yeah, this should be a very intriguing game. I've been watching Let's Plays for a good long while now, and some of my favourite Let's Players who I'll be putting annotations in for them are people like Shadow Mario 14, I think it is, Scottish Duck, there are a couple of others, and I especially like the classic game Let's Plays. The Donkey Kong Let's Plays are some of my favourites, so if you haven't seen them, go ahead and watch them. But Pokemon is one of those games where I can play this for ages. I can honestly say I see this going into hundreds of episodes of Let's Plays. And it'll be intriguing to see how far we can get with this game, and what happens, especially as I've decided to put a couple of restrictions on. Now obviously I'm playing this on an emulator, because it's difficult to actually record from the Nintendo DS normally. Before anyone asks, I will not be sending anyone any ROMs, do not ask. The only legal way to get a ROM is to already have the game and create the ROM yourself. There is legal grey areas. I'm going to play as a girl because I prefer the female sprites, and I like looking to see if they fucked up the storyline, because at some point there will always be something where they call you a boy, and I'd love to see whether or not they picked up on that and actually change it to girl. So yes, we shall play as a girl. Now for some reason, I don't know why, but I think I must have watched a film recently with this name in it. For some reason the name Alyssa has jumped out at me recently, so that's the name I'm using. Doesn't mean anything, I don't know anyone called Alyssa. I've never really used the name for anything before, but it's as good a name as any. Yes, that will do. I'm just going to be creative with certain names and just throw up any name that I can pluck out the top of my head from a film or TV show I may have watched recently. But I won't be nicknaming any of the Pokemon, obviously. One thing I will be planning, though, is the starting Pokemon is not going to matter. Because, like I say, as I'm playing it on an emulator, I can't do certain things. Like, for example, I'm not going to be able to trade, which is going to be a bit of an issue for me. So what I'm going to do is I want to use some of the starting Pokemon from the games I've never played. You know, the Diamond Pearl series and the Ruby Sapphire series. As I originally played Silver when it first came out, and I played Yellow, those were the two I played, I already know what these starting Pokemon were like, so I want a different experience. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the action replay to give myself a different starting Pokemon, and I'm going to go for a specific theme for this game. And it's one of those things where I'm going to take a bit of poetic license with it. I'm not necessarily going to be very strict, but the theme I'm going to go for is birds, because I think birds make interesting Pokemon, and especially as you can catch all three of the original legendary birds, which is going to be one of my aims for the game, is to eventually catch all three of those and catch the two legendary birds from the original Gold and Silver. It gives me a little bit of direction. Now, obviously, I'm going to be a little bit more abstract than simply only flying Pokemon, that kind of thing. I'll be going for things like, Psyduck, because it's a duck, which is a bird. Yeah, that kind of thing. Even though it doesn't have the flying type. Because I think it'll be fun. So, if you don't like flying Pokemon or bird Pokemon, then you're a little lost, aren't you? But it should be cool. I'll probably end up picking Totodile, but I won't be using him much after the first episode. Yeah. Now, Let's Plays have always been something that I've wanted to try, simply because I think they'll be quite relaxing. I'm currently at the moment a student. For those of you who don't know, this will be on my new channel. This won't be on my main channel, because I doubt that the people who watch my main channel will be interested in a Let's Play a Pokemon game, but you never know. So yeah, I'm currently a student. I really should be working at the moment, but I'm taking a break from my work because honestly I've been working non-stop for bloody days now, yeah, and I need a short break. So I see very little problem with me going, you know what, I'm going to take 15 to 20 minutes out to do the first episode of a Let's Play. I think that it'll give me something to look forward to for when I've finished my work later, because I can carry on with it then. No nicknames. Not that it matters, you'll be sitting in a box for most of your life. I might set him free later. It all depends what I feel like. Now, I'm not going to try to catch them all, especially as I believe there's like over 500 of them now. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to be trying to catch them all, especially as I don't think you physically can without trading, which would mean that I physically can't. Not unless I use the action replay cheats, which, like I say, I'm going to in order to change a couple of things, just so that people don't accuse me. I will be giving myself different starter Pokemon, and I'll be giving myself the stone that you need in order to catch Latias, which is one of the legendary dragon psychic Pokemon. The only reason I'm doing that is because I can't physically access Wi-Fi, so I can't download the stone that you need for the event. So I'm just going to use a cheat code to give myself the stone. That's all I'm going to be using it for. And hopefully people will enjoy the game, because I plan to play the rest of it quite legitimately, and we can enjoy the adventure together, as it were. Ah yes, I need to show Mum, don't I? They really have drawn out the start in this game. It's not too bad. It gets newbies into the game, gets them used to the controls, walking around, talking to people, which is not too bad, I suppose. But it does mean that it takes a lot of time just going back and forward between the starting areas with your first Pokemon before you're allowed to catch anything, before you're allowed to trade with anyone, that kind of thing, which is a bit irritating. The Pokegear. One thing that they have changed as well is the way the Pokegear and that works. From what I gather from screenshots of the previous one, it used to be a watch that you could actually see on the bottom screen. Now they've replaced that with a menu. Yes, I remember how to do phone calls. But apparently she's going to tell me anyway. Joy. Yes, she cannot believe it's so easy to make a phone call. She's a bit simple, really, isn't she? It's okay, she can't help it. Oh god, I'm going to get stopped again. Now, one thing that I am doing as well, which I won't be doing for all my Let's Plays, but for this kind of game you can, because there's no timing involved with it. Because I would tend to, if I was playing, say, a platformer or an action game, I would get very silent when I'm concentrating. so there'd be 30-second long periods where I wouldn't be saying anything. But for this kind of game, I can do exactly what I'm doing now, which is live commentary, which is handy. I will be saving at the end of every video, so that should ensure that the game stays consistent. One thing I will say though is I am playing an emulation, and this is the first time I've actually ever made my own emulation as well. The first time I've ever made my own ROM as well. So I can't guarantee the ROM's going to work. If it crashes, it's not my fault. I followed the instructions on the web pages that I looked at. I'm fairly sure I did it right. It's working, which is more than I can say for any other ROMs, because looking for instructions on how to make a ROM gave me long lists of people begging for ROMs of this game. Apparently this game isn't easy to make a ROM out of. It tends to crash a lot, and you get black screens and shit like that. So I'm guessing that I did it right, and I've done a fairly good job of it from what I can see, because it's playing. But yeah, one thing I will say is if you do like this kind of game, I do suggest going out and buying it, because as much as it is easier to just download emulators and download ROMs, you don't get the full experience on an emulator because you can't trade, you can't use the Wi-Fi, which is one of the problems about doing the Let's Play now. So you're missing out a lot, and also with the way the DS is at the moment, especially the new DS that's coming out, you've got a lot there. It's worth the money. The sheer number of DS games that have come out that are well worth getting, I strongly suggest buying it. And this is someone who really hated Nintendo only a year and a half ago. And the 3DS looks amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. The only thing that I don't like is I can't look at 3D. So, as much as I'm really looking forward to the 3DS, especially because it's one of its launch titles is going to be a remake of Ocarina of Time, the Legend of Zelda game, which I just can't wait to play. Now, I personally have never actually played Ocarina of Time. Yeah, no travesty, isn't it? So I'm really looking forward to actually being able to play it, because I've had so many people mention that it's like the greatest game that was ever made, but I never owned an N64. I only ever played it when I was around my cousins, and that wasn't very often. I was a Sega kid, so I had Sega Saturn, and then I went up to the next console, moved on to the Dreamcast. Eventually I moved on to the Xbox after that. And my brother was a PlayStation kid. He always went for PlayStation. So we never really had anything Nintendo. We had a SNES, but we didn't get the SNES until after the N64 was about to come out. It was like the last year of the SNES's lifespan. So yeah, and even then we got that second hand, because Nintendo it wasn't that popular around here. Everyone got Sega. Sega was the one to get. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to being able to actually play Ocarina of Time, because I want to see what this masterpiece really is. Now, I have played quite a few N64 games, considering I never actually owned the console. I played the Banjo-Kazooie games, and I've played Mario 64, which was shit. Everyone totes it as this fantastic 3D platformer with perfect controls and a perfect camera, and it's bullshit. It's shit. The game fucking sucks. But yeah, I've played that, and I'm actually approaching the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to stop here at this point, and I'm just going to stop and then start recording again, so you'll get 2 episodes, as it were, of the Let's Play, because I want to make sure that all the individual files can just go straight upload. So I'll see you in a couple of seconds.